We all go through life with our eyes wide open, hoping to evade any obstacles that may limit or slow down our pace. I started a podcast called PLEX, where we will help at least entertain you for those hard to accomplish or hard to get through days. Welcome. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is another episode of PLEX, episode 2. Today we're at a river park in Ormond Beach. It's a beautiful scenery, as you probably saw in the intro with the drone flight. Got my co-host here, my brother Dennis.
Hey, how you doing, folks?
We're mic-less today because obviously my setup's portable, but I forgot my laptop today, so it enables the lack of the mic, I guess. Anyway, we got an interesting conversation for you. Since my brother was homeless the past few years, since 2020, he is clueless to a lot of the stuff that's happened in the last few years, like our lockdowns. I'm sure he's aware of that, of course, the hurricanes, but he's not aware of like all the mandates and all the changes that have happened in the world, especially dealing with masculinity, how it's supposedly toxic now. And I was wondering, I wanted to ask you a few questions. When you're on the street, did you see an abundance increase of racism
Well,
in the past 3 years while you were homeless?
I would think that I saw quite a bit of it. More so, I would say, blacks against whites versus whites against blacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Like they're fed up.
yeah, like they're fed up, and I don't know how to say this, but I mean, there was all types of different types of racism out there too, not just color.
Like for religion. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I wanted to know. Because see, in our world, in the regular world, that sounds weird saying, but if you're not homeless in regular society, there's a non-tolerant type of mentality going. People aren't tolerant anymore,
Right.
for the littlest things. I mean, I've been called racist more in the past 3 years than ever in my life, and I have black people in my family. Stepfather was black. I don't really know a white father, so I take it to heart because I couldn't even picture myself being racist. But to be called racist just for being white, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, I believe. They think that because you're white that you're going to get
Privilege.
And that is totally
Yeah, that is so far from the
Totally
truth.
not true.
Most of the poor people I know are white, so I mean, but not to sound like, anyone that wants to divide lines. I don't want to. I would like to see us all unite. I think when people bring differences to the table, you can grow so much more than if a bunch of clones came and united. Where you're gonna grow from there? You're not challenging each other. There's nothing different about you. But the differences is what makes us have the ability to be strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The craziest thing is what makes this country the country that it is that we have all types of different races of people that are here that are Americans, but yet they battle amongst each other, and you've got the Hispanic community against the black community, or the black community against the white community, and so forth.
Yeah,
and
but
so on.
I don't think they really want to do it though. I think that our media, I think our politicians push us into these feuds because it's easier to control a chaotic group than a combined, organized, militant group.
There's no question. I think it's all about politics.
Divide and conquer.
And it's about votes and so forth and so on.
Sure.
For instance, what the Democrat might do for the black society, or what the Republican won't. It's just.
What's amazing?
To me, it's total BS.
The one positive thing about the internet now, though, is what I always wanted, is the truth about American history. See, the curriculum they teach you in public schools is exactly that. It's a curriculum. It's a structure approved by this committee and that committee. But when you have the opportunity to explore your knowledge base outside of a curriculum, you'll realize that the history that was fed to you was kind of cherry picked. There's so much more. Like, I didn't even realize that even the country my family came from, Finland, had slavery. the whiter you were, the more likely you were going to be a slave. It worked the opposite. And Vikings were enslaving people, just like Africans were enslaving their own people and selling them to Europeans. It's just crazy how Americans got labeled the hateful slave traders, but we're not even the ones that started it. We're not even the ones that continue to do it, and it's still happening throughout the world. They just call it something different now, you know, but it's just crazy. I just think that the more people will get out of their comfort zone, go to libraries and see true books that give true facts, not narratives posted on the internet, because that's controlled opposition. You want to go into a library. That's why they're closing down, guys. It's common sense. They're controlling history by closing down libraries and your access to real history. They can put anything they want on the internet, anything. I can publish something tomorrow and claim it to be true, you know.
And I think that in the schools today, that history isn't even really being taught anymore. These kids ain't learning anything about how the country started, or the, you know, the backbones of our society. But you know, the world has changed so much.
They don't even know basic math. I think our next episode we should take it mobile, like just a mobile mic and a camera, and go walk around where there's people, find out an event that's happening. There's actually a circus in town next weekend, or this coming up weekend. But anyway, and just ask people basic questions, like third grade questions, like who was the 16th president, what's 4 times 4, what's 4 plus 4, you know, dumb stuff. And then you'll be amazed on how much basic information the average person doesn't know.
And that's true. I mean, you see it all the time in stores and in restaurants and so forth and so on, that if they didn't have an amount tender key on their computer, they wouldn't even be able to make change for $1.
Exactly.
I mean, it's insane that, you know, how uneducated children are today.
But claim to be so with it when they're outside picketing for their beliefs. They are super intelligent when it comes to that, what they're geared toward, what they're picket sign for. But God forbid you ask them a basic math question. So how can someone that can't answer basic intelligence questions have intelligence for a certain subject and have that much passion? Because that's exactly what it is. It's emotion, it's passion, it's not logic. It's not logic.
Yeah,
it's emotion.
It's emotion. There's a lot of people in the world that might be very smart, but they have absolutely no common sense.
No logic.
Okay.
No logic.
They have no idea what's clearly going on.
I've met people like that in my life. They're genius people, you know, super book smart. Could even tell you sentences out of books if you just tell them the paragraph, tell them the page number. You know, that type of photographic memory, but no common sense. Yeah. Like you know, common sense is being aware of your surroundings and making sure you're not a victim or victimized. That's the world we live in. I mean, we live in a world that if you don't have eyes in the back of your head, you will be a victim. You know? And it's so easy to lose everything. Like when I first started getting into talking to homeless people, I interviewed these couple of homeless people down at the, that could be a good place we can go to, because you can actually talk to someone in that episode. Yeah. We'll bring you to actually where homeless people hang out. You can talk to them. Yeah. But anyway, it was a hairdresser, which kind of touches close to me because that's what I do. Until my social media takes off and pays my bills, I cut hair. So, but it was a hairdresser that had been homeless for 6 months, and she just, it was simple. She was living paycheck to paycheck. She broke her arm in the shop, didn't get workman's comp because she had weed in her system. So she lost her job, lost her workman's comp, and she had a broken arm, couldn't work, had no family. Boom. Apartment kicks her out, she's homeless. And she seemed so normal, guys. Like she was only 3 months into homelessness. And she was so protected by 3 military homeless vets that were protecting her, making sure no one was taking advantage of her. Her name was Sarah. I'll never forget her. Because at that time, you know, me and my girl weren't getting along. But we'll never break up, but we weren't getting along. And I was thinking, dang, I could be this person. Yeah. I could be this person easily.
It's so easy how your life can change in just in 1 minute.
And they knew that with the you know, when the mandates kicked in, they knew how drastically it would change people's lives. If all they had to do was enforce it and get enough people to you know who was really enforcing the mandates was the people. If you walked into a place without a mask, it was the people that would tackle you and come up to you in drones. Not so much the employees, it was other people. It was crazy because we were turning on each other. That's the part that you missed, and I'm glad you missed it. To see people that were friends for years, neighbors for years, turn on each other over masks, over crazy stuff. It was insane. It was insane.
When that whole thing was going on, it kind of blew my mind because never once did I wear one. I never once put a mask on.
Right.
So I don't know, what this COVID thing, it was geared to, affecting only certain people on the planet. I don't know what it's for.
A
lot of controversy.
But if you listen to and talk to any religious person, they say it was one of the 7 deadly plagues. Just like the Euphrates dried up, just like all these other things from Revelations have already happened, they say that's one of the 7 deadly plagues. And they're not talking about, some people say, I'm not saying, but some people say, they're not talking about right now, but the death toll from COVID was 1/3 of the population, just like in Revelations.
Which could be very real.
Could be very possible, because myself personally, I lost 3 people in my life. 2 of them were patients of my girl that we were really close to. One of them was my father-in-law. Oh no, one of them was my girl's aunt, one of them was father-in-law, and one of them was a patient that we were really close to. Actually left us in his will, left my girl in his will. But anyway, 3 people in a span of 6 months to COVID. Tell me it wasn't geared to kill people.
Yeah, there was still question.
And then whoever created it, the devil, I don't care who, but it was geared to kill people, and I think it killed 1/3 of the population. But I don't want to get all too religious. I don't want this to be considered like a total religious. But it's good. It's good if you find some spirituality. That's all I got to say.
Well,
it will help change your life for the positive.
There's no question there. Being right with God in the way the world is today is definitely an advantage. Because you're either with Him or you're not.
Right.
If you're not, you'll be staying here. That's
yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
And there's something much greater than this. There has to be.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. There has to be a reason why we retain information, why things are passed on from generation and generation. There has to be reasons why there seems like there's these spiritual lessons and achievements you have to reach in your life. There's these reasons why you have these voices in your head that tell you what's right or wrong. There's got to be. And it can't just be through training because, homeless people break their training all the time, break their training from civilization, and they live a completely different life, but they never let go of those fundamental things that make them human, like spirituality and forgiveness and passion, and emotion. Like these things you don't lose no matter what happens in your day-to-day, like your so-called normal life. If you're taking out a so-called normal life, you still won't lose these core things that make you human. And I think those are the things that is what's so important that we take with us when we go to our next phase of existence. I don't like to call it heaven. I don't like to call it death. I like to just call it your next phase of existence, because the energy from your soul is going somewhere. And I think it works like a computer does, like transferring data.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Energy never dies. It definitely just transfers, and I agree with that.
Yeah, that's why they believe that inventing, us getting to the point of technology where we're inventing AI that will be so superior in knowledge. They think that will be the ultimate in evolution for humans, because that's where we're going. In all fairness, we're trying to figure out the brain, and as we're doing it, we're developing a brain that will work on its own like ours. See, that's all they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out what's so complex about the brain. I think really the brain is just where the soul resides. The complexity of the brain is the complexity of the soul, I think,
You're probably correct, but the weird thing about that whole thing is they say that we only use 10% of our brain, and that if we could use more... Oh,
we'd be able to do amazing feats.
Amazing things.
Yeah, we'd have godlike abilities.
True. They say that Einstein was able to utilize 30% of his brain, and that's why they got his brain and frozen basically, and they're studying his brain because it was so much different than ours.
Yeah, I don't know. I think also too, people have tuned into mind-altering psychedelics that have expanded sections of their brain. Because I don't think sometimes being able to retain information and recite it back, like a recorder, isn't so much always intelligence. I think a lot of times too, just fundamental way you treat situations, like it has a lot to do with intelligence, like how you navigate through life. You take a book smart person and put him in the same situation as an idiot, but that idiot has street smarts. And, you know, you might see a different outcome from very many reasons.
No, there's no question there.
Yeah.
You know.
You guys got to see this area. It's amazing. Check it out. We're in this little gazebo that overlooks the river. When we first got out here, there was 2 dolphins right in the water right there. It was just amazing. It makes you realize every time. See, that's why I try to come out and do this stuff, and that's why I want the little show we do to be in a different location, because it gets you outside, and it also makes you realize how important all of this is. This, all nature, all this creation, man, how important this is, you know? Seriously. But I wanted this episode to go for a long time. I didn't plan for it. I just wanted to make sure we put one together. But as you can see, I didn't even bring I bought my podcast equipment, but I forgot my laptop. So we're kind of half-assing it from the get.
Kind of winging it.
Yeah, winging it from the get. But at least you can hear us, see us. But yeah, one thing I wanted to put up is this is a YouTube channel. I do want to grow. I'm doing YouTube shorts to get a younger audience. I'm doing long form content again, these episodes to get an older audience. And I want you to like and subscribe. I want you to like this video and share this video, you know, because this is just 2 dudes, normal dudes, sitting down having conversations that you would normally have. We're just going to do it in different locations, beautiful locations, and just something good to listen to when you're on your drive to work or you drive home from work. I know I listen to podcasts on the way home from work, driving, so usually it's Joe Rogan or somebody like that, but maybe we'll be your next alternative, you know.
For all those that are out there that are down and out right now, the best thing you can do is just, you know, keep your head up, have faith. You know, it's not as bad as we'd like to think it is, and don't ever think anything in regards to ending your life or anything like that, because no matter how bad it is, somebody else is going through worse.
Way worse. That's why you got to get out your house. You have to see what else is out there.
Right.
Sometimes when you put yourself in different situations, you realize how not bad off your life really is. You know, especially that's why I love going around the homeless community. I used to bring sack lunches to them on Thursdays and do different things, give them free haircuts, anything I think of to be around them. Because to me, I look like the president compared to their life, you know, but to treat them like equals gives them a vote of confidence for the next day, not making them feel inferior. But they made me feel like I was on a pedestal, but I would try to pull myself down from that pedestal and put themselves in their shoes and try to familiarize myself as the best I could with them. And these are things I do to myself to bring myself down, to humble myself, you know. It's hard. It's hard sometimes, especially when you have such a divine connection with spirituality and everything. It's hard sometimes to humble yourself, because I want people to be on a level that I'm at, and you can't drag them there. You can just show them what that level does by actions, you know, volunteering, doing different things like that, you know, show people what goodness does. But we were having a conversation on the way here, and I thought it would be fun to talk about was he's been in jail before, and the stories that they have about the stuff they do in jail is hilarious, about like how they light cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because you can't have lighters or cigarettes really, but right. You know how they light their little hand rolled cigarettes that they make from butts they find. Tell them.
Well, they think, of course, having tobacco products in a jail is against the law these days. But of course, I can remember that back in the day that you could smoke in jail, but you can't anymore. But they still sneak. They still sneak it in. It still gets in. And as far as how they light it, they use different types of methods. I've seen people take a battery and take copper wire or so forth and put it from one end to the other, and it'll heat up the wire. They'll light it that way. I was in jail for 3 days, and I saw them take the same wire, stick it in the outlet that's in the room, yep, with toilet paper on each end, and when they touch the wire, the toilet paper would light on fire. Yep. And then they'd all, like 50 of them, come out of nowhere with their little hand rolled cigarettes. Yep. I mean, this tobacco was picked up on the side of the
the street when they were doing cleanup, like when they put jail people out there for city cleanup, and they pick up butts and then they put all the wet, nasty tobacco that's been in people's mouths together, and then they roll up. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's,
everyone knows about Jailhouse Pizza.
Yeah.
It's getting like everything you can think of, crushing it up in a bag with relish and everything, and then they knead it into like this goopy dough, and they what's it, dry out? Is that what they do? They dry it out a little bit or something, and they eat all this shit. It's crazy.
It's amazing what people come up with as far as using ramen noodles to make it different types of things.
Yeah. Hey, I've made some pretty good egg drop soup with ramen noodles.
Yeah.
The trick is you cook it, the 3 minutes it takes to make the noodles tender. Shut the water off so the water's not boiling anymore, but still wicked hot. You take an egg, crack it in there, and spin it. And as the hot water spins, it kind of cooks the egg and gives it that egg drop noodle taste. I'm telling you, it works so good.
Well,
that's what they do.
When you're in jail, that commissary, that's like money.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you got commissary, you're rich.
I would suspect your sexuality is probably like money too, right?
Yeah. Well, in some cases, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not the greatest experience, but it's one that will certainly humble you.
I've been in county a couple of times, nothing major, weekends, like 3 days at a time, twice in my life, and
unfortunately, I've been there a lot more than that. And I've actually had long lengths of stay in some of the places.
Like
in fact,
9 months, 6 months.
Yeah, in fact.
But that's the difference. When you're under a year, you go to county, not prison. Right. Prison is over a year, and you're around murderers, real people that will eat your face.
Yeah, it's
eat your face, man, for real. People that have such emotional problems, there's no correcting it. Like they're in there for life, and you don't want to be around them.
That's for sure.
But yeah, I wanted to bring my dog to this episode because I just hate leaving him alone. He's only alone the few hours I cut hair a week. He's only alone for those few hours, and I told myself if I'm gonna have a pet, I don't want to leave it. It's not. You should see. I have cameras in every room. Soon as I leave, he's a wreck, crying, and why would you want to do that to an animal? They have such an attachment to us. Why would you want to put them through that? So I try to limit the amount of time I have my dogs alone because it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah, they're more like people these days.
They really are. I mean, they're cloned to be like people. They're bred to be like people. So, but anyway, I'm going to move for a coffee.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, we're going to call this short. I wanted you guys, thank you so much for episode 2 of PLEX. It was kind of thrown together quick, but if you joined us, thank you so much for joining us. Not a lot of editing has to go into this one since we shot it on one camera and showed you the scenery on one camera. So it's easy peasy today. Again, thank you to me and Dennis. And
God bless everybody.
Yeah, God bless. We'll see you guys next week, once a week. We'll get a good one going for next time. Maybe do some funny stuff, and hope to see you there.